What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Hockeytown University. You are here with us once again, Derek and Zack, and we're missing one. He's a little hungover. So congratulations to him. Derek, how's your weekend going, buddy?
I think a lot better than Matt's. I heard he had a great day yesterday, spending it with his ladies, so all the power to him. A little rough morning, it sounds like, but he might join in later. We'll see. I doubt it. But yeah, my weekend, I literally slept basically all yesterday. I mean, the girly girl were tired, so we did absolutely nothing. It was amazing. How about you,
Nice.
Zach? How's your weekend going?
Hey, those types of days are always well deserved. Yeah, my weekend's going good. Got a fresh cut, doing some cleaning, doing some just a lot of cleaning this weekend. I feel like that's every weekend though. Just a lot of cleaning, a lot of stuff going on. It seems like, especially when you got two dogs. Your place gets a little furry. I gained two extra dogs throughout the week because of them. So yeah, other than that, it's going well. Let's go ahead and jump into things, right, Derek? So what do we got today? Around the league news, Red Wings news, minimally, and then obviously the main topic based on the title of this video. So hopefully y'all enjoy. And before we move on, I'll give a shout out to y'all for returning. If you guys are new, thanks for joining us. We really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button too. Turns the frown upside down and makes the YouTube algorithm that much better for us. Really gets us out there and gets more people interested in our content. If you guys like our content, make sure you are leaving a comment down at the bottom. So that way we can have a discussion with you guys. We love enjoying that with you guys. So, Derek, let's go ahead and kick it off with Around the League news. What do we got today? The PWHL. It's officially kicking off. The Professional Women's Hockey League, which is a part of the NHL somewhat. They are part of it, but not really too involved with it. But great thing for women's hockey. Honestly, this is a huge step for women everywhere. There's amazing talent out there. The new original 6 teams. So let's go ahead and talk about those teams, shall we? So those 6 teams would be Minnesota, Toronto, Boston, New York, Ottawa, and Montreal. Low-key, surprised there isn't a Detroit team in there. Makes it a little sad because you got Toronto, Boston, New York, and Montreal in there. So you got 4 of the original 6. Would have really liked to have seen a Detroit team in there. Maybe eventually as time goes on, but we'll just have to wait and see. Derek, what does the PWHL mean to you, or at least initial reactions to learning about the league becoming an actual thing for women?
I mean, it's been a long time coming. Like, I know this has been like a thing that they've been trying to get ready for a very long time. And I know the split 2 leagues that they had going on made it pretty much impossible at that point for anything to get rolling. And even the NHL wouldn't even get involved yet until they had one solid league that they could back. And as of now, they basically had that. And we just got to make sure, because with what Gary Bettman said, let's see, let me find good old Bettman.
Boo.
NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman previously said his owners did not want to get involved when there were 2 competing women's hockey leagues, but would consider supporting one consolidated pro league. And look at that. The NHL has given the backing to this one women's NHL league. So this is a good standing, a good support for them. And I say it's a good stepping stone for the women's hockey league right now. I know the NHL's area in this is going to be minimal. They're more so on the consulting side for the first year. I know that. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. It's not going to look normal right off the get-go by any means. By what I heard from Stanton, I believe, is one of the people involved with one of these big consolidations of the leagues right now. He said this is like a 10-year plan. It's nothing that's going to start off right away. They're going for the longevity of it, not just get it up and running, see what happens right away type deal. So it's not going to be perfect in no means whatsoever, but it's something in the right step forward. We have all the leagues conjoining into one. We have the backing of the NHL. So I think this is a great step forward for what they've been trying to do for the last, 8 years since the 2015 when the original league was started for the women. So I say this is a good thing to happen. I wish it wasn't under the umbrella of just one person right now. But what can you do? You have to have some sort of starting point, and the fact that they got the backing, that it's going to be all paid for, everyone's going to actually make a salary now. It's a fun time for us to be in. It's very interesting, and I can't wait to see what happens here because obviously today, the 10th of September, the last day for their draft, or what was it, the free agent signing. So there's quite a few players that we'll probably name off here in a little bit that already are signed to this league. So it's very interesting to see how quickly it's moving. And on I believe the 18th of this month is when they actually have the full draft too. So get ready, get online and watch that because that's where I'll be watching on the 18th for sure to see what happens.
Yeah, honestly, I'll probably tune in to watch that too. Anything involving hockey, I'm gonna be there. Honestly, like that, we just need something. Although the Lions did secure their first dub, first game of the season against the reigning champions, so shout out to the Lions. I had to toss it out there, and I had to rub it into a lot of my coworkers' faces because they're not from the local Detroit area. A bunch of Kansas City Chiefs fans or just Texas fans in general. So go Lions. But yeah, no, I think that that's great to hear too, Derek. When you said the longevity of the league, I think that that is a prime example of showing people that they want to get this correct. And it's like you said, it's not going to be perfect right out the gate, right? It's just like when you go and work out for the first time. Are you going to do everything right and as heavy as you want it to be? No. And it's going to be sore day in and day out for those first couple of weeks. For them, for the years, it's going to get better. It's going to get easier, and it's going to become more popular, more insightful to those people trying to get into the league and the people watching it as well. I'll be rooting for the women's in and out throughout the whole entire like longevity of it. I think that this is amazing what they're doing, and before even 2015, before they even made a league, there was no professional women's hockey. You would go from college, and then after that you would have to wait for your turn to get into the Olympics, and that happens every 4 years. So, and a lot of these people that are in it, like the Kessels, the nurses, the Poulins, they all have to wait, and so that kind of sucks. And in the meantime, it's like, what, you have to have like a regular job. Now this can be a regular earned income for these women. It's just a fantastic story, honestly, and I'm excited to see how this turns out 10 years from now. I think that this could be a really successful league, but like you said, it being controlled under one general person and kind of scares me a little bit, but hopefully they can figure it out down the line, within the next 3 to 5 years. But and hopefully they can expand in teams. Like I said, I think if Detroit could get a team, I think that would be amazing. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these players that were signed. Signed players as of Thursday, September 7th, Montreal. All these teams signed 3 players, and I think that was the maximum that they could go and sign throughout this period, right? And like Derek said, it did end today. We are recording Sunday 9/10. It's 11:30 right now. So let's go ahead and talk about this. So yeah, Marie-Philip Poulin, 32 forward, signed 3-year deal with Montreal. One of the better players that's in the free agency that can't go into the draft. So good looks on them. Laura Stacey, 29 forward, 3-year deal. And Renee Thespians. I'm going to say some of these names really badly. And to be honest with you guys, I really don't know too much about these players. I really don't. And that's why I really want to start watching. So that way I can actually gain some insights and knowledge about these players and talk about them a little bit more extensively. Thespians is a 29-year-old goalie who also signed a 3-year deal. I'm pretty sure majority of these players did sign the 3-year deal. That might have been the max that they could sign. For Boston, you got Hillary Knight, 34. That's one of the bigger names. I'm pretty sure she plays for USA, and I think she is originally from Boston, if I'm not wrong. I would go ahead and read through all this, but we got so many players I got to name off. We might come back to this in a different episode. Signed a 3-year deal. The youngest player signed that I noticed on this list is Aaron Frankel, 24-year-old goalie for 3-year deal. That could be the best signing out of this whole entire free agency class. As far as I know, if you can get a young, good goalie and that goalie can be your goalie for the next 10, 12 years after this, that's a win for you in free agency right then and there. You also got Megan Keller, defense, 3-year deal, who's a top defender for Team USA, 5'11", went to Boston College. So there you go. That's nice. You got to basically stay in a place that you were very familiar with. Then in Minnesota, you got Kenda Coyne Schofield, 31 forward, 3-year deal. Lee Steckline, 29-year-old defense, three-year deal. Kelly Panic, not related to Richard Panic, 27-year-old forward, 3-year deal. Then in Toronto, you got Sarah Nurse, related to Darnell Nurse, 28-year-old forward, 3-year deal. Renata Fast, 28 defensewoman. Do we still call them defensemen? Defensemen? We'll just go with that.
I mean, we'll just go
Defensewoman.
with the general umbrella right now. We're not trying to get into that topic at all.
3-year deal for her. And then Blair Turnbull, 30 forward, 3-year deal. Then you got Ottawa, Emily Clark, 27 forward, 3-year deal. Brianne Jenner, not related to any of the famous Jenners, hopefully. 32-year-old forward, 3-year deal. Oh, man, you guys are giving me a tough one with these names. Emirates Mashmere, 28-year-old goalie, who says here is an excellent goalie who has been a luxury backup for Team Canada for years, most recently behind Anne Renee Desbiens. Okay, so nice. Good for them. And then New York, you got Abby Roku, 25-year-old forward, 3-year deal. Alex Carpenter, 29 forward, 3-year deal. Mika Zandy Hart, 26-year-old defenseman, 3-year deal. And then you got the draft coming up on September 18th. So in 8 days from now, like I said, it's 9/10. So yeah, 8 more days until then. Some pretty big names, some recognizable names on here, honestly. So I'm excited to see how the draft goes. I did have a list up for the draft in terms of like some top players. I think Derek might still have that pulled up, so I'll let him talk about that here in a second. But let's talk about how much players will be paid. It's not as much as you expect either. So let's prepare ourselves for this. In the 23-24 season, salaries will range between $35,000 to $80,000 or more. According to the collective bargaining agreement, at least 6 players on each team will be signed to 3-year contracts of no less than $80,000 per league year. And no more than 9 players per team can be paid league minimum of $35,000 per year. League minimum will go up 3% each year per the CBA, rather than a typical salary cap. The average salary on each team must be $55,000. And then according to here, it looks like, and I'm reading this off The Athletic, I would show you guys, but if you guys want to go ahead and take a look at this for yourselves, The Athletic is doing a promotion where it is $1 sign up for a whole entire year. Go ahead and do that if that interests you. If you're a fan of other sports, they put out some really good articles about other teams as well in other sports. And then they do have this little like mock here. It says, here's a mock of what a team salary breakdown could look like with 23 players signed per the CBA mandates and an average of around $55,000. So it basically just goes down a list of the 23 saying 1 gets 95, 2 gets 90, 3 gets 85. Then it just kind of slowly dwindles down. At number 6, you got 80,000. Then by player 7, it goes down by $10,000 to 70. And then from there, it just kind of continually goes down by like $5,000. By the time you get to player number 15, down to 23, they're locked in at $35,000 per year. We all know you cannot live off of $35,000. And I bet
it's a very painful life.
Yeah, these women are probably going to. I can't speak on this, honestly, like, and I'm just kind of spitballing and throwing it out there. They might have to work an extra job. And it sucks because they have to treat this league like it is their job. You don't know where these players are coming from. They might not have spouses. They might not have someone to take care of, no partners, no nothing. $35,000 ain't easy to live on. And I guarantee you that they don't go on jets to go from team to team. They're probably riding buses. They probably have to pay for their own food. I don't know about living arrangements when they go to different teams' locations. You know, you're going from Boston to Toronto or Ottawa. A lot of those players might not know anyone that lives in those areas. So what are they going to do? I don't know if these teams, the ownership of these teams, are going to be paying for these. But let's see. It also says additional competition bonuses laid out in the CBA include All-Star Game runner-ups. It's $1,000 per person. All-Star Game champions, $1,500 per person. The league MVP, $5,000. Top forward, $4,000. Defender, $4,000. Goalie, $4,000. Rookie of the Year, $4,000. And philanthropy-based awards, $4,000, as well as playoff bonuses. Okay, so that makes it a little bit better, right? You get a little extra motivation to go out there and show your worth and that you can make extra in bonuses. And I bet you a lot of these women too. Obviously, I can't speak on this for every woman, or every female woman that's going to be playing in this league, that they could be making sponsorship deals outside of the league as well to make an extra income. You never know. So, but Derek, why don't you go ahead and talk about some of the top players that might be coming up in the draft for the PWHL?
I mean, there's a bunch of them here, and the fact is, you might have already talked about some of them as you went through the Athletic here too, which I had to go back from to pull this up. But there's some notable names in here that probably haven't gone through yet. So we got some top players in this again from the Athletic. So, obviously the Athletic is something we use a lot here. Not sponsored, by the way, but they're just a very good article that helps us out a lot. So, Of course, there's the top. We'll go over the top, I believe, 9 that we have right here that the Athletic is putting out for us. So Hillary Knight, Kendall Coyne, Marie Philipppoulin, Amanda Kessel.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe you just tried to say her name. We got Amanda Kessel in here, which, yes, she is the little sister of the hot dog eating champion, Phil Kessel. Emily Clark, which I believe you told me signed as well. Maybe. We'll go back and don't judge me on these ones. We got Joycelyn Lorocque. I was kind of enjoying when Zach was saying these names and not me. Okay. Kylie Franklin, Brianne Jenner, which did get signed by Boston, we just found out, and Alex Carpenter, which I believe was another Boston signing in there too.
Yeah, yep.
So these are just obviously 9 of the top players that they have out there right now, and 3 of which are already signed. So we still have these 6 players that are going through the draft, and we'll see what happens there. We also got to remember, too, there are some stipulations with this draft. So they can't draft certain players that are current or graduating the NCAA or collegiate program players aren't eligible for the preliminary free agent period. So there's a few players that we actually won't be seeing, especially if you're just graduating college, just getting out of NCAA or some other program. There's a lot of bylaws, a lot of little stipulations that are involved right now with this first draft. So obviously some big names that you probably would want to see in there, not going to make it this year just because of how they're doing it. I know, it's really weird. Don't know why they're doing it that way, because obviously with us, we're like 18 years old, come play hockey. They're like 22, 23. Wait. It's like, I don't know why they're doing it that way, but it is what it is right now. They're probably trying to get those older players that have more experience and whatnot pulled into the draft first, and then these younger women will make their way through the system, hopefully, is what you're all hoping for. But obviously, a lot of talent out there, a lot of players that obviously are watchable names. So this is going to be something that is probably going to start drawing a lot of attention, and hopefully, 10 years down the road has equal attention as the NHL. Could it be that way? I don't know, but it's what we're all hoping for at this point.
Yeah, I think it will. I think eventually, the more viewership, the more money that the league brings in, the more buyers into the league, right? Where they want to start doing expansion teams. Like I said, if you can get someone to be a buyer for Detroit, if the Illiches say like, you know what, we want to own a women's hockey team too, kind of do an expansion draft in there or something, I guess I kind of understand with the younger players not being able to come in right away because, like you said, you got a lot of not older players in hockey, but a lot of these women that advocated to start up this league. It makes sense that you at least give them the first dibs, right? Because this is what they've been fighting for. Give them the opportunity just as much as the next young group of women coming up in the rankings, and so yeah, I do think that this could be something to where in 10 years, we might be seeing women getting drafted. I don't know at the age of 18, but maybe at the age of like 20, 21, you start doing it that way. And hopefully you can start building a roster full of young talent, just exactly how the NHL does it, So hopefully everything works out for them. I'll be cheering for the league, honestly. Hopefully I can watch it. I don't know if this will be something that will be airing on cable. I don't know how we're going to be able to watch it, but we'll figure it out. So good
It's
luck on
supposed to be
them.
a good mixture. A lot of it's supposed to be digital, so obviously through the computer, you have to pretty much go on the websites. But I know they're trying to work with the NHL to get a few television programs there, some of the games too. So probably more so computer wise, but there are going to be some televised games next year. That's for sure.
Low key, hopefully it's not ESPN, only because ESPN already screws over the NHL. But ESPN would be a good spot to start showcasing more women's sports, honestly. I think that would be a great thing, but also a horrible thing, if that really makes sense. Probably not. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and move on, Derek. I think we kind of spoke our piece enough on that one. Once we do a little more research and once the draft comes up, maybe we'll speak on it a little bit more. But all right. So, other around the league news. Ottawa Senators defenseman Jake Sanderson recently just signed a new 8-year, $8 million contract with the Ottawa Senators. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Jake Sanderson, he was taken in the 2020 draft. He was selected 5th overall right after Lucas Raymond. Like I said, 21 years old, shoots left, 6'3", 195 pounds. He's only played 1 year in the NHL. And his first year, he in 77 games, he put up 4 goals, 28 assists, 32 points. Signs an 8x8. That's all you got to do to get an 8x8 nowadays. No, I'm just kidding. No, there were reasons why Jake Sanderson was selected so high in the draft, right? Like it's apparent that he's a very good player, U.S. born, can do a lot with the puck, plays really good defensively. I'm just very surprised that Pierre Dorion was willing to give him such a long contract for so much money right out the gates. A lot of Sens fans seem to think that this is going to be a steal. They have high hopes for him going into next season. I think that this will be a good deal, but not for another 3 to 5 years. I mean, you look at the Ottawa Senators roster in general, and I think between 5 or 6 players, they already have $45 million tied up to those players. Thomas Chabot already makes $8 million. This contract does not kick in until next season. He's still technically on his RFA deal, coming in at $925,000. But for the sake of this, let's talk about next season. So 24-25, you got Thomas Chabot making $8 million, Jake Sanderson making $8. Okay, so it wasn't $8 million, it's $8.05 million. Okay, so that's $16 million right there. Tim Stützle makes $8.35 million. That's $24.4 million right there. Brady Tkachuk makes $8.2 million. I'm losing sight on math. That's over $32 million right there. For 4 players. For 4 players. Okay. And then you got Jonas Korpisalo making $4 million. You got Chychrun making $4.6 million, and then he's a UFA in 25-26. Are they going to have enough cap to re-sign someone like that? You also have Claude Giroux making $6.5 million. Are they going to keep Tarasenko after this season, after signing him for a 1-year, 5-year deal? You got Josh Norris making almost $8 million, who's technically on their IR right now. I don't know if he's playing. I don't follow the Sens. Not my team. But looking at their cap structure, for next season, they have just under $14 million at their cap expense. And then in 2 years, they have $33 million. I don't know how Pierre Dorion is. I get it. You have a lot of this young talent on your team, and you're trying to lock them up so that way the cap keeps on going up and it looks good on your roster then. I don't know how you feel confident with 1 year of a player and saying, I want to give you 8x8. Derek, enough of me speaking. Let's hear your take on this Jake Sanderson contract.
Oh man, I was just mind blown by the fact that when I looked up all his stats, I was like, okay, let's see what makes him worth this. And I was like, holy crap, I didn't realize he was 21. Holy crap, I didn't realize he's played 1 year in the NHL. I was like, that's not really ever been seen. Like, you don't give these players a 8 year, the massive, pretty much the max deal you can give somebody at $8 million when they've
Unless
played.
you're Matthews or McDavid.
Okay, if you're McDavid, I would have locked you up. I would have been like, okay, we're not going to give you entry level. Here's 8x8 right now, so we don't have to pay you when the cap goes up again. But yeah,
Right.
it's like the only reason I can think that they're doing this is because obviously he is a good player. There's nothing saying he's not going to be right now, and the fact is they want to lock him in before the cap goes up. Which next year was when they had to sign him again. Obvious, I believe next year, right? Or was it this year? Was the end?
So so his RFA status, his last year was going to be this season, so the contract kicks in 24-25.
Okay, so they had a whole nother season still, obviously, to sign him to, but didn't really need to because after next year, when the cap goes up, you don't want to have that. And especially if he does something better than this year, obviously it's second year back, could have a sophomore slump. You never know. At this point, you're hoping he doesn't because you already have locked in for $8 million every year. So it's just one of those things you really just don't see in the NHL happening too often for somebody who just started their career. Obviously, great player, a lot of talent, but he's putting a lot of his eggs in one basket right away, and he's hoping for the best. Pierre, whatever his name is over in Ottawa, I don't care that much. If
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds doesn't own the team, I don't care now. Or Snoop Dogg, but it is what it is. But still, it's a massive deal that I was not expecting them to give him. I would, like you said, an entry level deal, like a 3 year deal, probably been the more suffice way to go about things. Just because at least you'll be able to get him running, get it to see what he can actually do in the NHL. Obviously, it's going to be costing you a little bit more down the road. So I'm guessing that's literally the only reason I can think that they did this now is to save them money down the road, which hopefully it does for Ottawa's sake. Hopefully it's not another bust of a first round. He goes out and starts putting only 20 points up every season. You're going to be very upset, Ottawa. And all those Ottawa fans that are freaking out about being the best deal ever, I'm like, well, you guys need kind of something to cheer about after Stevie just finagled you guys pretty well for DeBrincat. So obviously I understand where you got to be happy about something. But I don't know if this was it. But then again, we have years to figure out if it actually is going to work for them.
Yeah, and you brought up Ryan Reynolds not being the owner of the team, and they do have a new owner, and I wonder if that's partially why Pierre Dorion signed this deal. If the ownership is pushing them to be like, okay, we need players locked in, we need them here long term, because that really wasn't something that the Ottawa Senators have had in past years, right? I mean, they had Erik Karlsson traded. They had Daniel Alfredsson, who was a longtime captain. He then went off to the Detroit Red Wings. Bobby Ryan, a couple of other players too. So I wonder if the new ownership is saying, like, Dorion, I need you to keep these players long term because we need a reason for fans to keep coming. We can't keep letting people leave. Not saying that that's what happens with all these players that get drafted by the Sens, but that continuously seems to be a theme where players are either leaving or they're getting traded out because they aren't making the runs that they're supposed to be doing. Now, I don't I get it that you do want to try and save yourself some money. The cap should be $92 million in 2 years for the 25-26 season, right? And after that, cap friendly doesn't really show how much more it can go up by. But from what it is now, 83.5 to 92, that's little under $9 million in increase. So if you want to look at it this way, you kind of got Jake Sanderson for free if you really want to look at it that way. But like Derek said, if he doesn't become more than like a 30-point defenseman, he better be really good at defense then. Like he better be like the best like defenseman out there. Like Norris votes defenseman just minus the points that you get. And we all know that you're not winning in Norris unless you're putting up the points too as a defenseman, which is bullshit. They should have two
I can
different
see the
awards
difference
for
if
it.
you're like only throwing up 30 points, but your plus minus is outstanding. Like, say he's 30 points, but has like a plus 30, 40 rating. That's a defensive defenseman right there. Like, that's obviously they're not normal anymore. Normally, you want a little bit of offense in there, but you can't say no to a defenseman who's pure like that. Like, that's something every team could use, every team wants, but he has to show it. Like, we have to see what he can do, obviously.
So why are we even talking about Jake Sanderson in the first place? Well, there's a reason for that, right? And it's because of Moritz Seider on the Detroit Red Wings. Yes, our loved one, our number one defenseman on our own team, still going into his third season, has not been signed. He's still on his entry-level contract deal. And for the purpose of comparing, and Mo Seider's first season in 82 games put up 7 goals, 43 assists, 50 points. And he won the Calder. Jake Sanderson didn't do that. And he got an 8x8. And then going into his sophomore year, last year in 82 games, 5 goals, 37 assists, and 42 points. Everyone outside of Red Wings fandom will say Mo Seider is really not that good. He didn't even improve. Well, sophomore slump, Ben Sherratt. Get it out of your head. He should have a bounce back year this year. I would be shocked if he does not improve based on his first year's numbers. And I do think that it will come down on Jake Walman. Can Jake Walman be an actual secured top line pairing with Moritz Seider? I do think so. I don't think that Jake Walman will put up extremely huge numbers. I think he just plays phenomenal defense, right? So I do think that Mo Seider could definitely put up a little bit more. But Derek, the main reason for this conversation is, can Mo Seider now control what his next contract is going to be based on what Jake Sanderson got from Pierre Dorian? Can he go to Steve Yzerman and say, look at this guy, in his first year, 20 less points than I did. Not that much better defensively. And he was on a better team than when Mo Seider joined the Red Wings. Our team was garbage. Like, if he wasn't on the team would have been way worse. We probably actually might have gotten the first overall pick. Potentially. Maybe.
Thing, but I'm happy with Mo.
We all know that the lottery is rigged. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I know. Typical Red Wings fan to say it's rigged. I know. But what can Mo Seider actually command now? Like, how is this going to work out with him and Steve Yzerman? What are your thoughts on this, Derek?
Well, my initial thoughts were when seeing that deal, it's like, well, crap, the Red Wings are going to be in for it now just because you see that. It's like, obviously, Mo Seider's better. Like, the stats say it, the numbers don't lie. He is better right now. Can't do anything about that. And my first initial thought was like, oh, well, crap, we're going to have to lock him down for like 6 years at like $10 to $12 million. And I'm like, that's going to suck for our cap hit. Then I also thought about this. We have Steve Yzerman as our GM. The most stingy, hard-pointed motherfucker out there right now when it comes to deals and signings. And it's like, I'm not actually as worried now. Like, do I think we're probably going to be forking out a bit of cash to keep Mo here? Of course we are. He is our number one defenseman, and we're not going to lose him. He's going to get tied up for at least 6 years. Probably Stevie wants to do it for 8, but obviously the money is going to be an issue there. So I'm going to guess any 10 million still probably going to be a good starting point for Mo Seider coming up next season when especially the cap's going up. There's going to be that extra room for money to be able to be used. And we're not going to let him go. We're going to have Dylan Larkin and Mo Seider as our top 2 people right now for our team. And that's what it's going to be for like the next 7 to 8 years. So obviously I know Stevie's going to pull some finagling out of his hat like he always does, just because it's Stevie and that's how he works. But it's still, with that, it makes a permanent impact on the league. Like, okay, well, they did that for this player. So all other players of equal standing or better are going to be asking for the same amount or more now. And it always depends on what team you have. Like, say the Red Wings, luckily for us, we have the cap space. But think of next year when other players are coming up on their terms going into free agency and they can't get signed for the amount they want. I think it's gonna. It's not just the Red Wings or Mo Seider. It's gonna affect the whole league too with how things are getting signed now. But with Mo, he's gonna stay with the team, I think, obviously, but it's gonna be expensive now, possibly a little more than what we originally were hoping for.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We did a previous episode. If you guys want to go ahead and check that out, it was kind of figuring out how Steve Yzerman finagled the Stamkos contract, the Kucherov contract, and the Hedman contract, and how he could potentially work that out with players like Raymond, Seider, and how he did it with Larkin. Right? Is that you have to let these players know that you will get paid. It might not be right now. Even if we were to offer him $5 million for 4 years, that's still a lot of money, right? And I think any player in their right mind would be like, yeah, I could live comfortably with that, right? And so with the cap going up, it's only going to keep going up. So if you sign it, if Mo Seider, let's say Mo Seider came to Steve Yzerman right now and said, I want an 8x8. Steve Yzerman, I could see Steve Yzerman coming back and saying, I hear you on that, and I would love to get that to you. However, we're trying to build this team for the long term, right? And we want to make sure that we have cap space to bring other players in and sign other players, right? So we got Jonathan Berger, and we still have to sign. I don't know how much he's going to get. It'll come down to how he plays this season. Lucas Raymond, same thing as well. And you also got Moritz Seider. As the years start to progress, though, you have Nate Danielson, Marco Kasper, Simon Edvinsson. Just to name those three, because I do think that those are the first three that will be pushing for a higher cap hit once they get out of their entry-level deals. You got those for 3 years, right? To where they're making the league minimum on their entry-level deals, so the $900,000, right? So you got to try and scrunch out as much as you can. Do I think that Steve Yzerman could give him an 8x8 right now? Yeah, 100%. I think that Steve Yzerman would be 100% okay with it, but it's just like you said, he's a stingy guy, and he's going to try and lowball him as much as he can and try to convince him. And it's not even lowballing, it's just telling him that, like, hey, we have a lot, like, if you want this team to be good, you're just going to have to sacrifice a couple $1 million every year.
I mean,
and I think if you can get them
for bonuses if the team's good anyways.
Exactly. And bonuses and then whatever else you do, like, money comes. It'll keep coming in. So you're not going to miss out on a lot. But I do think that Steve Yzerman understands exactly what he's trying to do, like, in terms of, like, building this team. Like I said, he did it with Stamkos. He did it with Hedman. He did it with Kucherov, where he told them, like, hey, if we want this team to continuously being good, you have to sacrifice a couple years and a couple mil to improve the team with other players. And that's how they were able to make it the 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. It's because they were able to keep players on short-term, short cap hits. You know, so I'm also looking at a list of the highest top paid NHL defensemen in the league. I mean, Erik Karlsson, when he signed that deal, it was a while ago, $11.5 million. Where does Jake Sanderson sit on that? Right above Thomas Chabot, right above John Carlson. So he would be, I don't know how updated this is, but he would technically be the 14th highest paid defenseman in the league right now at 21 years old. He's played one season.
Like, if you look at anyone's age on that list right now, anyone above him and probably like 15 below him, the next closest age is probably like 3 years above him, maybe even 4.
Yeah, I think it would be Miro Heiskanen. I'm not exactly sure how old he is, but I'm pretty sure he's like 24, 23, around there, maybe 25 max. So you're right. Yeah, just a 3-year difference in age. And I will say this, Miro Heiskanen definitely is a lot better than Jake Sanderson is right now. But no one knows what Jake Sanderson's going to be in the future. It's all a crapshoot, right? It all falls down on that player. You don't know what exactly he's going to be. Like I said, I'm not a Sens fan. I don't watch him very closely. Maybe I should now that he's getting paid like a top 15 defenseman in the league. But I'm I don't know what this means for Mo Seider's contract. Now he easily could demand $10 million a year knowing that the cap is going up. It's going to be like $87 million next year. The Red Wings will have over $30 million in cap that they can utilize. If you got $10 million of that going to Seider, you're left with $20 million and you still have like 9 roster spots that you have to fill. And you still got to sign Lucas Raymond, who could probably be around like $5 to $6 million, depending on what kind of deal you're giving him. Jana Tinbergeron, he could be anywhere from like $3 to $5 million, depending on how this year goes. And you got other players that you have to sign as well, in free agency or if you trade someone. So, Derek, realistically, you think it would be 10?
Realistically, if we wait till the end of next year in free agency to sign him, yes. I realistically think it's going to be around 10. I don't think if we do 10, it's going to be an 8-year deal. It's probably more along the lines of like 5 to 6 at that point. But anywhere between 8 to 10 million is a very sustainable thing for Mo Seider coming up, I think.
Shit. That's a lot of money. Well, we just got to have faith in Steve Yzerman, right? And like the difference in comparison is I would be okay with giving Mo Seider anywhere from $8 to $10 million, only because I've seen enough of him and I know what the expectation is. And we know how good he can be. And I do think eventually he could be a captain of this team once Dylan Larkin is done being the captain in 10 plus years from now. Jake Sanderson, we're just going to have to wait and see. A lot of Sens fans are very positive on it. They think it's a steal. They think it's a good signing. Best of luck to them. Honestly, that's really all I got to say.
That's all I can say at this point.
Yeah. So, but I do think that it kind of messes up the market a little bit. But so did all those like $9 million contracts that they gave out to like Darnell Nurse. I think Charlie McAvoy was a little overpaid, $9.5 million. Seth Jones, $9.5 million. So those are some pretty bad contracts, if you ask me. But
pricey ones right there, that's for sure.
All right, Derek. I think we can move on to the next one. We really don't have a lot else to talk about other than the main topic, obviously. But Red Wings news. We're still doing our community tab for the top 15 U23 prospect pipeline for the Detroit Red Wings. We are on player 7, I think. So if you guys want to go vote on that. I think number 8 will be posted today on Sunday. You guys probably won't see this until later Sunday night or early Monday morning. So sorry. So go ahead and vote on that. You guys are doing a really good job. I'm honestly surprised on some of the picks, but as it keeps going down, I'll probably even get more surprised based on what you guys think about the whole entire pipeline. Other Red Wings news. Chris Chelios, his number is being retired, but in Chicago. It's kind of Red Wings news, right? He was with us for what, 10 years or something like that, Derek? It was 10 plus years or something.
He was with us the longest. I believe 9 years with us, 8 years with Chicago, and 7 years with Montreal, or some weird number like that. This was back in the days, guys, when players would play into their late 40s too, by the way. So that's why Chris Chelios was playing for 27, 28 years. And unfortunately for the Red Wings, we didn't get him at his prime, but, we still got a Chris Chelios. I was pretty happy with that, man.
The funniest thing about... Yeah, sorry, Derek. The funniest thing about looking Chris Chelios on Elite Prospects is his last stint in the NHL when he played 46 games with the Chicago Wolves in the AHL for 22 points and then played 7 games with the Thrashers for 0 points. But his last 2 years in the league, dude, 0 points for any NHL team. Like at that point, yeah, he was like, 45 or something like that, Derek? And
he was old.
His last 3 years in the playoffs, he put up 0 points in... What is that? That's 32 games. Like they literally just put him out on the ice so that he could get his name engraved on the cup if they ever won it.
Which go skate a lap. Don't get killed out there, because if you get hit, you might break at this point and get off the ice.
Like when Stamkos did for them to win their first Stanley Cup. He's like, go take your first shift. You're still broken, but go take it. Scores a goal. Okay, I'm not going back out there. No.
You can't get much better. I'm done. My name's on the cup. We're good.
But no, you were right in that sense. Yeah, we kind of didn't get him on his breakout seasons. Looks like that his best season was with Montreal in 88, 89, but he also matched that with Chicago in 92, 93, where he put up 73 points. And then once he got over to the Red Wings he was traded to us in 99. In 10 games, he put up 2 points. But his best season with us was in 01, 02 for the Stanley Cup, and he put up 39 points in 79 games. And in that playoff series, he was actually
he
a
was
good
busting,
player.
man.
I
He
mean,
was killing it.
yeah, 14 points in 23 games, 1 goal, but still, I mean, like, he was always a defensive defenseman. Like, he was a really good player in his prime. So, like, I would kill to have another Chris Chelios type of player. Hopefully that can be Jake Walman with Moritz Seider, but not very often do you see players playing into like their mid 40s anymore. That's like Yager stuff, right? Like
That
they
man
just
really
aren't built the same.
sacrificed his body for everything. He was, like you said, he was a defensive defenseman, and he would just destroy everybody out there. He's one of those guys that just doesn't really exist in the NHL anymore, though. One of those hard beaten down players. Like, obviously he could do the points back in the day, but at the end of his career, Detroit was basically using him as a body that destroyed people. So we didn't care too much about the points. It's like, you're a good defenseman, you're killing people, come back. You can come back into your 40s. We don't care.
Yeah. But all in all, no, I think this is great for Chelios, especially since that he's from Chicago, his hometown. I think that this is a delight. You know, like, this is a great thing to see. That I don't think that I think I saw this online where he this isn't quoted quote for quote, but he wasn't expecting actually to ever have his number put up into the rafters because he never felt like that he played for a team long enough. But for Chicago to do this, I think this is great. You know, he was with them for a long time. I mean, like I said, like, he put up consistent 60, 70 point seasons with Chicago, and he was their captain for 4 seasons before being traded. I love it. I think it's great. I don't think the Red Wings will hang up his number in the rafters. I mean, we're still waiting on Fedorov to get put up into the rafters, which I'll stand by. I think he should. I think they also should put up Zetterberg. I do think that they should put up Datsuk. I'll stay firm on those.
Those are a few players
I
that
would
I would
even
agree
go
with.
as far. What?
I was just saying, those are some players I would agree that need to be up in the rafters.
I mean, like, we all those years that we won all those cups, I mean, you could make the case you could just make the case for the whole entire team, right? You can even say Darren McCarty deserves his number being put up in the rafters, right? Like,
You know,
but
let's just retire the whole team jerseys and just go to decimals because we're done.
You got to start going into the hundreds on the jerseys now. Like, you got 101, 105, 169, you know, great numbers out there, you know? So
Got to start making the numbers smaller on the jerseys, get up to a couple thousands. It's like, crap, we're retiring too many jerseys.
Eventually it might happen. I mean, like, look at Wayne Gretzky, right? His number, no one in the whole entire league can wear his number. Eventually, maybe that's a thing. I don't think anyone's ever going to wear Connor McDavid's number.
That 97 will be tainted because everyone will see the real player who was wearing it before you. So it's like, you don't want to be compared.
Yeah, and like right now, it's like if you're not one of those players that we just named, Wayne Gretzky or Connor McDavid, like, it's even weird for players to go into organizations and be like, oh yeah, I want to wear. Obviously, I was going to say Nick Lidstrom. No one's ever going to wear Nick Lidstrom's number in Detroit, but like, let's say like Dylan Larkin finally retires, you know, like, I guarantee you by that time, no one's going to be like, I want to wear 71, fully knowing that was Captain Dylan Larkin's number. And hopefully he has a Stanley Cup win for us by the time that he does retire. But I do think that is a good example. I don't think anyone would ever wear Mo Seider's number 53. I do think that is a player that eventually could be hung up in our rafters for the Detroit Red Wings. High hopes. I know. Right? We still got another 20 years
like
until
20
that
years
happens.
down the pipeline too, so.
Oh, all right. We're kind of going off a little bit here. So, Derek, let's go ahead and talk about the main topic here. Yes, the wait is finally over. Let's talk about some over and unders. Derek was actually the one who came up with this, and honestly, not too bad. I actually kind of like these predictions. So, I might change the Husso one. I do think that's a little bit low. Well, let's just go ahead and talk about Dylan Larkin, over under 85 points. I got to pull up what he put up last year.
I believe it was 87 points he put up last year, or 86.
Was it really that much?
Yeah, he was almost a point per game. Oh, sorry, 79.
79 points.
Yeah.
Close enough. And 80 games. I do think I'm gonna take the over on this anyways. I do think that he will be over a point per game player. If he plays a whole entire season, a full 82 games, I do think that he can hit over 85 points. So I'm gonna take the over on that. I think with the acquisition of Alex DeBrincat, Raymond putting on size, like he's put on like almost 10 pounds of muscle, so to say. I do think that he can put up 85 plus points. It'll come down to Raymond having a better year. If Raymond can put up 60 points, and if you have Alex DeBrincat putting up anywhere between 60 and 70, Larkin getting 85 easy. Over. I'm taking the over.
Oh, I'm 100% with you on that, especially after hitting 79 points in 80 games, almost a point per game player, and with the team we had last year with all the injuries and whatnot, and no one really getting up to their full potential. And then we're adding a DeBrincat into his lineup now. 85, I feel like, should just be like the minimum we're asking for at that point. I'm hoping for it. If he gets 100 points this season, I wouldn't be shocked, I guess I'd just say. It would be surprising, but I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be like, okay,
I wouldn't.
See who he has on his line, the team itself. Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, you look at Dylan Larkin's track record, right? I mean, in 2018-19, with a pretty bad team, in 76 games, he put up 73 points. Then he dipped down, obviously, COVID happening. That started being a thing. 21-22, almost a point per game. 71 games, 69 points. This past season, 80 games, 79 points. The trend keeps on continuing. Oh, excuse me. But he keeps on getting better as well. He's just one of those players, and he's only, 26, 27? He's 27 years old. He's going to keep getting better. He's still in his prime, right? So 100 points, Derek? That's a stretch. I do think that's a little bit of a stretch. Do I think that he can get to 90? I do think that he could get to 90. I really do. It all comes down to other players around him. Like I said, I think it comes down to Raymond improving, Jake Walman having a full healthy season, and then Seider being paired with him. I think that means a lot. What are we doing with Larkin? Obviously, he's going to be on the power play 1. I do think our power play 1 has improved with the addition of Alex DeBrincat and then all the other players. Your power play 2 is going to get better. Dylan Larkin might be on the penalty kill as well. He's going to get a lot of playing time. He's going to get a lot of looks. I do think that Larkin could make it closer to the 90 point. But yeah, I'm taking the over on 85, and it sounds like you are as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Someone who's over here trying to hope he gets to 100. Come on.
Yeah. All right. Next one up would be Alex DeBrincat. And just to let y'all know, we really are only doing the top line and the top pairing players, and then Ville Husso, since we do consider him as the number 1 defenseman. I mean, we're not going to count James Reimer as the number 1 goalie. I said defenseman, didn't I?
I know. I was like, you're wrong with it.
My bad. All right, so Alex DeBrincat. Derek put down over under 80 points. 25 years old for a 5'7" tall guy. Honestly, looking at his track record in 18-19 and 82 games, he put up 76 points. In 21-22, he put up 78 points in 82 games. This will come down if we think that he's going to be a 40-goal scorer. But if he doesn't, I do think that his playmaking will evolve because he's never put up more than 40 assists. He's never put up more than 39 assists in a season. I think his playmaking is going to go up. I think he's going to get a lot more assists. I'm going to take the under. I think he's going to be right. I think he's going to be in the 70s somewhere. I don't think he's going to get 80. But like I said, I think it'll come down to Raymond as well. DeBrincat and Larkin, they're already well developed into what type of players they can and are going to be. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take the under on this. As much as I want to take the over, a lot of things have to go right? Like you gotta hope that neither Larkin or Raymond are getting injured. Or if they're not getting injured, then at least like if Raymond isn't having as good of a year as we thought he was going to be, then who are you going to replace him with? David Perron, Daniel Sprong? I really don't know how this is going to go, but what do you think, Derek?
I mean, I think it's all going to come down to what happens in the first few weeks of the season itself. They're going to have to get acclimated to each other, and obviously we have Larkin, great player. We have DeBrincat, also a great player. If they can mingle and mirror each other's games well enough, the possibility of getting those points is pretty high up there. Obviously, like you said, Raymond's definitely a component in this mixture, being the other wiener on the first line. So we're going to see him step up, which is why I'm going to go with the over on this one, because I'm anticipating Raymond steps up his game this year. He's going to be a true first line forward. If anything, a glorified, like, an overachieving second. That's what, if he gets to the overachieving second line forward, that's what'll make me happy. That's what we want to see. And then obviously he'll just progress from there. But if we get that with him, with Dylan Larkin and DeBrincat matching up their games, and if Larkin, of course, throws up 100 points, obviously at that point, I'm going to say DeBrincat definitely is going to get over 80. So I'm going to stick with the fact that I am betting on Larkin to get over 100, or at least 100. And if that's the case, DeBrincat will definitely be above 80.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, like I can definitely see it happening. It's either him going to be a 40-goal scorer, or it's going to be him being like a 50-point assist guy, right? And he's feeding the puck to Raymond and Larkin. I do think that Larkin can bust out and he can put out 40 goals this season. I really do. With adding DeBrincat, that's just extra firepower that other teams have to watch out for, right? It's not just Larkin and Raymond anymore, right? It's Larkin, Raymond, DeBrincat. That's 3 players that you have to lock down on the opposing team, right? So let's go ahead and talk about Raymond then. Over under 70 points. So basically what? 35 and 35, 30 and 40.
It's hard because this is technically what you expect out of a first line wiener, basically around this area, between 60 to 70. So it's like, do we have that yet?
Yeah, and looking at his track record, I mean, in his first year, 23 goals, 34 assists, 57 points in 82 games. He would have played a full season this past year had Ben Sherratt not injured him. Damn it, Ben Sherratt. 45 points in 74 games, 17 goals, 28 assists. I wish Raymond would shoot more. I do think his shot is reliable. I think he has a really good shot. His weight was an issue, and we talked about that towards the end of the season, right? We consistently talked about that, how he was just getting pushed around a lot out there. And we just mentioned how he's put on quite a bit of muscle, a lot of size.
I heard about 10 pounds from Derek's perspective, the coach. Not me, Derek, but Derek Lalone. Said he put about 10 pounds of muscle already the offseason. Got to let everybody know I am not the head coach. I wish, but no.
Derek likes to talk third person. We all know that. Come on, man. But no, I think it'll come down to Lalone telling him that he needs to start shooting more. Not only do you have Larkin to facilitate the puck to you, but now you have Alex DeBrincat as well. Is there an opportunity for all 3 of them to be 30-plus goal scorers? Yeah, I can see that 100%. In terms of the 70 points, I think it's going to be just shy. I think that he can be a 65-point guy, and that's an improvement from his 57 in his first season. I'm going to take the under. I think he gets to 69 points. Not just for the meme, but I think that he could be right around there. So,
I mean, no, I get you on that. Just even though he was injured last season for, 8 of the games, 45 points. I mean, obviously, I'd say toss an extra 5 points in there for those injuries, and he was at a 50-point season. To say he's going to come out and throw another 20 points on top of that for this season being fully healthy, it's a possibility for sure. Yeah. Do I think he's going to, everything he's done in the offseason is going to extend to the fact that he's going to do that? I don't think so either. I'm thinking he's probably going to be around a 65-point season, which, again, not bad at all. I'm thinking probably around like 25 goals, maybe like 40 assists out there, just passing that puck to DeBrincat and Larkin nonstop, getting them open and all that. Because I believe those 2 are probably going to be the main line scorers or the top scorers for the line. So I'm going to go with the under. 65 points is what I project him to be at this season.
All right. So we both agreed on Larkin. I took the under. You took over on DeBrincat. We both took the under on Raymond. Okay. God, I hope we're wrong. I hope all three of them just get 100 points. Like let's be the Edmonton Oilers. Come on, man. I want that.
We're not NFL playoffs, the NHL championship. At that point, you're looking up the Stanley Cup. There's a problem. If they all have 300 points combined. There's a problem if we're not there.
All right, let's talk about the defenseman. We got Mo Seider over under 55 points. I would take the over on that instantly. I think that's a seal of a deal. I think Mo Seider really just needs to shoot a little bit more. He has the shot. He has the capability. We've seen it. He's got some filthy backhanders. I think if he just learns how to clap it a little bit more, maybe I said that weird, learn to clap it a little bit more. I'm sure his clapper is fine, so he doesn't really need to do that. But like, I do think that if he just took a little more shot taking, he would have more goals. I really do firmly believe that. And we have to have these players that are comfortable with playing net front presence, right? So like if you can get a Rasmussen on the same line as Mo Seider on the same shift where he's just ripping clap bombs and Rasmussen's in front of that goalie, they're going in. I firmly believe that. I do think it will come down to Jake Walman playing a full healthy season and his defensive game being strong like it was last season. I really do think that 55 points is doable. I think that he's going to be anywhere from 60 to 70. I think that this is going to be a huge year for Mo Seider because once he got off that pairing with Ben Sherratt, he skyrocketed, right? Like his point production was still down, but that first half with playing with Ben Sherratt truly dragged him down.
I mean, when you're dragging a sack of potatoes behind you the entire time, it's going to hurt you a little bit.
And like he did that even with his first season with Danny DeKeyser. Danny DeKeyser was basically a sack of potatoes too, and he technically did better with Danny DeKeyser than he did with Ben Sherratt. Imagine playing a full season with Jake Walman, even if it wasn't Jake Walman and it was someone who was more. Let's say just for shits and giggles, it's someone like Victor Hedman. If Victor Hedman played on the left side, I can't think of it right now. Anyways. I do think that Seider could put up like a 70-point campaign this year if he was paired up with a legit veteran defenseman. But with Jake Walman, I think that the 55 isn't over. Easy. You think so?
Oh, yeah. That one, I mean, 42 points just last season with a sack of potatoes dragging behind him. I'm going to go like there's no possible way for him not to hit 55 points, especially if he has Walman out there because Walman's been great. He's producing well. I mean, even if you toss up Gossespierre up there, obviously he can go back and forth. Like, I'm pretty sure he's known for just launching the puck. So he's a high goal scorer. I mean, it's a good person to take lessons from for Seider. Like, watch his shot, learn from Gossespierre out there, learn how to rip it from the point, make sure it stays low, because I can tell you right now from experience playing, when your defensemen like to take slap shots and you're supposed to stand in front of it, you really hope they shoot it low, but 80% of the time they'll pretty much rip it at your face. So shout out to Pat. I haven't forgotten high school, buddy. But yeah, as long as you do that, Mo will get the tips, he'll get the assists, he'll get the goals. It's 55 should be the minimum that he's reaching for this year, I would say.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. Granted, it's not always about the points. If you can improve just in the plus minus, which he does every single time, and we know that plus minus isn't the end all be all, but we definitely want this team to be not scored on as much as they have in previous years. So if Mo Seider, Jake Walman can shut that down, love it. So speaking of Jake Walman, over under 30 points. I got to pull up his name on Cap Friendly to see how many points he put up last year. I think it was like under 20 or something like that, wasn't it? But
9
in terms of
year, 18 points in 63 games, but he was a plus.
Yeah.
So I think
yeah, and what like we said too, like he was when they finally put him in a pairing with Mo Seider instead of Ben Sherratt, Mo Seider improved dramatically having Jake Walman on his pairing. Jake Walman has never played more than 63 games in a season, and that came from us this previous season. The most he's ever put up in a season was 10 points before that, and he put up 18 with us this year, 9-9. like Derek mentioned, 45 penalty minutes. My goodness. Okay, let's chop that in half, Jake Walman, would you please? But Jake Walman, he doesn't put up with people's shit out on the ice, and I love that about him. But going to what we're talking about, the 30 points, plays defense first. I think it will be tough, but I do think that it. Yeah, I'll take the over. I think it will be barely. But if he continuously just plays with Mo Seider, like I said, he has to stay healthy. And if he is shifting with Larkin, DeBrincat, Raymond with Mo Seider, and he probably won't get PP1. Maybe he'll get PP2. Because typically on the PP2, you'll have two defensemen. Yeah, I think 30 points is doable. I mean, we saw him out there last year, right? I mean, he had some pretty nifty moves out there. He had silky smooth mittens. You know, his turns were great. He was deking players out left and right, and he grittied on the Pittsburgh Penguins. How can you not love that? That was great stuff. So I'll take the over on the 30 points. I think that could be doable. I think it's going to be by barely, though, and there's a good chance that he might just even hit the 30 points in general. But I'll call 31. Just for the meme.
I think you're right. I think he will hit the over. It just really depends on who he's playing with. Like if he's up there with Seider all year long, easily should break 30 points. Just with assists in general, passing it over to Seider to have clap bombs going to the net. But if he does go back and forth, obviously going to the second line, he should technically in a second line 30 points for a defenseman still isn't unreachable. I think that's more of a norm nowadays. So between first and second, he should be able to hit over 30. I would say probably like 33, 34 points this year. Mostly assists, probably around the same in goals, but I think his assists are going to go way up this year.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. And I'll make a hot take. I do think that he does get over 10 goals. I think he'll have more goals than Mo Seider. But I do think that he'll have over 10 goals. I wouldn't be shocked if it's closer to like 12 or 15, honestly. Like he's got a great shot too. Honestly, he must have been a forward in a past life or something. I don't know, but good looks on him. All right, so we're both taking the over on the 30 points. So let's finish it off with Ville Husso, Derek. On here, you put over under a 0.9 save percentage.
Yeah, I should have made that a 0.91. Sorry.
No, that's okay, and that's what I was going to change it to. I was going to change it to a 9-1. With a completely, I mean, you brought in like 3 or 4, I think it was 3, maybe it was 4 new defensemen. Your whole, like half of your forward roster was changed as well. Ville Husso finally got his first taste of being a legit number 1 starter in the league last season, who finished just under 9. If we were saying 9, I think he's hitting the over. That comes down to James Reimer as well, and situations where Ville Husso, I mean, we gotta remember Ville Husso was put in some pretty extreme circumstances, right? Like at one point in the year, I think he was sick and he didn't get to play, but we had to force him to come back to play because we weren't comfortable with Hellberg or Nedeljkovic playing. And there were multiple times in the season too where he played in quite a few back-to-back games as well. Like he was put in some pretty tough positions to carry this team. Now in the first couple months of the season, he was getting recognized as possibly a Vezina candidate for one of the top goaltenders in the league.
At the beginning of the season, that is for sure.
Yeah. No, he was. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like we talk about, injuries happened. He got sick or injured. I can't exactly remember which one it was. And then it kind of just dwindled down from there because of situations and circumstances. Like Jacob Vrana, our goaltending, Alex Nedeljkovic didn't show up. You had to get Hellberg, who just an older guy who just can't be any more than a number 2, number 3 goalie in the league. Bertuzzi was always hurt. So there were plenty of situations that caused him to go below the 9-0. 9-1. I think that this is doable. I will be optimistic and I will take the over on Ville Husso getting a 9-1. I think it will be just barely. I think it will be like a 9-1-1, 9-1-2. But if it's under 9-1, I'm not going to be disappointed either. What do you think, Derek?
I'm calling if he gets over a 9.1 or a 0.91, 9.1, that'd be insane. 0.91, that means our backups are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're relieving him when he needs to be relieved, and he's playing the game that he played at the beginning of last year. And if all that falls into place perfectly, where we don't have to rely on him because our backups are just complete and utter trash, which hopefully this year we have Reamer and we have Florida's, what's his name?
Alex Lyon.
Lyon. We have him coming in. We saw what Lyon could do to get pretty much got Florida into the Stanley Cup playoffs. That was basically him standing on his head for the last few games there. So obviously he has some skill. Yeah. Reimer, I don't really know. He's old now. He's never really cared for him as a person, but besides that, we're talking about hockey-wise. He's not a bad goalie. Stuck on a bad team for a very long time.
Yeah.
Obviously. So it all falls down into all these key components getting pushed together and all working at the same time. Then easily, I'd say a 0.915, 9.2, a 9. Oh my God, 0.92. I keep putting the 9 in front of the point. 0.92 even, if all that works out for Husso. I could see him coming out at the end of the season. But if all those backups fail, I'm going to have to go with the under because maybe he breaks 9. But obviously, we see what happens when he's overworked and thrown into situations where he shouldn't be. He doesn't do well. But that's not his fault. I think he's a great goalie, so I'm going to go with you on this one, Zach. I'm going to stick with the over on it this time. I'm going to go with the saying that he is going to produce better than what we're hoping for.
Yeah, because when he was with St. Louis in 40 games, he started in, he had a 2.56 goals against, and he had a .919 in 40 games. He played in 16 more games, and it was a .896. So if you took even 10 games away from him, where he played in 46 games, he can definitely be a .91 save percentage goalie easily. And it's just like you said, it'll come down to Reimer, Alex Lyon, whoever it is. It'll come down to your backups and how well they perform and not putting Ville Husso in really bad situations and causing him to play in back-to-back games. You don't want that. And looking at James Reimer, yeah, he's played on some pretty bad teams, but he's still a serviceable goalie. Not a great character person, I guess, his views and, his, I don't want to get into it. I don't know. But I do think even like someone like James Reimer, I think he can get over a 0.905 save percentage. I think James Reimer is definitely like before this previous season with the San Jose Sharks, he was over a 9.0 save percentage for every season that he's ever been in. Every single season. And he's how old?
35. I believe. 35 now?
I mean, we've seen goalies play until they were like in their early 40s. That could still do pretty decently well. So I'm not too scared about Reimer's age. I know we weren't really supposed to talk about Reimer, but yeah, I think Ville Husso, if everything goes right where he's not playing in back-to-back games, he doesn't get injured, he doesn't get sick, 0.91 is very doable. I'm taking the over, and I would even say if everything goes right and defense stays healthy, he could push for 0.992. I really do think so.
That's what we're hoping for.
A lot has to go. Yeah, no, a lot has to go right. A lot has to go right. So, all right, that is, Derek, that's it. It took a little longer than we thought it was going to be, but
yeah, a little bit.
I'm going to
get yelled at by Sarah. It's okay.
I'll get yelled at by my dogs too. I'll be there with you, buddy. But all right, well, Derek, let's go ahead and jump into final thoughts, man. Final thoughts on today's Sunday.
Final thoughts. Let's go Red Wings. Everybody go watch some football. It's all finally back on. Go Detroit Lions. Oh, that was beautiful to have to listen to because I couldn't watch it because I work. Sucks. And let's go all those women in the Women's Professional Hockey League. Congratulations. Yeah. Hopefully this is a start of something great for y'all. So really excited to see what moves on from there.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna piggyback off of Derek. My final thoughts are congratulations to those women getting your league. I think this is great, not just for hockey, for women, and just everything in the world. I think it's great that we're recognizing women and they can be just as talented as men, if not better, and they deserve everything that men do in this world. Go Red Wings, go Lions. Yeah, football season's back. Go U of M. They got another dub yesterday. Good to them. Mo Seider, please don't ask for $10 million. Take a team friendly deal. Let's give you a 4x4. I'd take that. I think that's great. Larkin, DeBrincat, Raymond, if you guys are watching or listening, please put up all three of you 100 points this season. Billy Husso, get a .92 save percentage. We would love that. Mo Seider, pull some Eric Carlson shit for us and get over 100 points as well. We would definitely appreciate that. Jake Walman, yeah, you're going to get 60 points. We would really like that. That's what I got for you on NHL 23 when I played you. Other than that, Matt, where are you at?
He's dying in bed right now.
He gone. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us once again. If you guys are returning, thank you. If you guys are new, I hope you hit that subscribe button. I also hope you hit the thumbs up button. Turns the frown upside down on that octopus Derek's got right there on his microphone. Wherever you guys are watching us, though, whether if that's on YouTube or on Spotify, we definitely appreciate y'all sticking around, jumping on, listening to us. Let us know what you guys want to hear us talk about next time. Make sure you're going on the community tab, placing those votes. And until next time, we'll see you guys on the next one, next weekend. Oh, we'll also be at the prospect tournament. So, yeah, look forward to that. We're probably going to talk about that a lot. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.